You can hear me? Okay.
Hey, good evening. This is Lauren Morales. I'm trying to turn my camera on, but I don't seem to be able to.
Hey, Lauren, this is Julie.
Hey, I can see you guys and I can hear you well. I don't know what my issue is. Maybe I will give it another try here. Let me try again.
You got the news on, Tim?
Yeah. It's fixed to be off.
How are y'all?
Good. Hey, Davis.
Hey.
Hi, this is Dee. I'm on.
Hey,
Hi,
Dee.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Are we going to have a crowd tonight?
I hope so. I hope they don't just tune in when we're talking money and then leave. So.
Since I've got two of you on here, what about the video I take? Can that be put on the website? Because that's the only video we have of the meeting.
Well, I think I just lost my video. Hey, Davis, can we can put it on ours. I don't see a problem putting it on ours. So I don't know. Are you wanting to put it on the attorney's website too, or just in that?
No, I was just thinking of our website. I've got it on YouTube.
The one from last, yeah, I don't have a problem. The one from the last meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it unless anybody else does, but I don't.
Well, who puts it on?
So we upload the Teams videos to ShareFile, and then link to the ShareFile site from the district's website. But you know, we could, going forward, I mean, if the board wanted to include links to the YouTube videos or however, you know, the board thinks is appropriate to handle that.
Well, I think that one would be good, Davis, because that's the one where we discussed all the where the community had all their questions and we discussed the upcoming bond election and things like that. So I think that one would be good to put up there.
Sure.
Well, okay, now can't Richard just put that on the link, you know, just attach the link, or how does that work?
I believe so. I think he'll just need to send the link to the website provider and just ask them to post it.
Okay, because I was going to ask this during the meeting, but since we have some time here, who adds the stuff to the website? I mean, who gives it to whom and who does what?
So as far as the you know, administration goes, the website provider Off-Cinco adds the materials when they receive them. So they're actually, in my experience, I mean, I think we sent them one thing today and they added it in 3 minutes or something. So yeah, they're generally pretty quick at adding things.
Not this time.
They have received them.
No, it wasn't until about 10 o'clock this morning when all the documents were up from the director's packets. That's long.
I don't know that it was the web provider. I think that we've talked about the web provider as being, you know, the the cog in the wheel. But I think that sometimes it's probably the timing of when those materials are provided, and I just don't know when that was sent.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
We can find out, Dee. You can ask that question during the meeting.
Okay, yeah, maybe Richard will know.
Yeah.
They do enough of these websites that they have a special email address, and they essentially have some, a couple of people who sit there and just do these postings, all day.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, Tom said that he was going to try and get in on the phone tonight.
Okay. Perfect.
I think we got a quorum. I see Gerard's on, so I guess we got a quorum. I don't know who else is on, but
Hello, this is Richard. I just got on.
hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
How's
Hey,
everybody
Gerard.
doing out there tonight?
Good.
Hi, Davis. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Gerard.
Hey, Gerard.
Taylor and Jeff joining us? Or is it?
I believe so.
Do we want to get started at 6:30? So
Sure. I
Wanna
think that's fine.
call the meeting of the River Plantation Board of Directors, August 26th meeting. Call it to order at 6:31 p.m. First thing on the agenda is approve the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors held on July 14th, August 5th, and August 10th. I haven't seen any. I went out just a minute ago to see if they were on the website, so I haven't seen any to look at, so.
Yeah, Julie, I had drafts from the June meeting and then the first meeting in July that I'd sent over to Davis and Susan and Stephanie to complete. It's just taken more time. I think I'm going to have to defer to them to do the minutes. Regarding the last meeting, I was not in attendance and there was not a recording for that. So again, someone will have to do that in its entirety.
There's actually a YouTube video on it, but we were just talking about putting that on the website, or a link to it on the website or whatever. So, but it is recorded, but anyway, so, okay.
So is that official recording that you're going to put up there?
It was the recording of the meeting from beginning
Gerard,
to end.
Gerard, I recorded that meeting too, since it was done here in the office. I've got the little recording of it. I can send you that link.
Well, I mean, I think I'm going to leave it up to the lawyers and their assistant to do it. But I think it would be good to have a recording, Richard, if you've got it, and put that up on the website. I thought it may have been from somebody else.
It was for me.
Yeah, Richard just
No,
does an audio recording.
Yeah, he doesn't have the video.
No, I don't have the video, just the audio, and I could send that to Stephanie. Is what I normally would do.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
Yeah, and
Well,
Richard, I think we're going to have you put a link so that everybody can, because it was such an important meeting, and there were a lot of important questions asked and answered. I think we're going to have you put a link to the YouTube video up there also from the meeting.
Yeah, if you can send me. Yeah, if you could send me that
Julie,
recording.
the one thing.
Okay.
The one thing I'll say is, I think it is reasonable to say that it should be a district account or something like that, right? As opposed to linking to an individual's account. I think, and
Okay.
I'm not an expert, I don't do a lot of work on YouTube, but I
Okay.
believe you can download those videos, or that Dee could provide that recording in
Okay.
a way that the district could upload it. So I
Upload it.
think we can
Okay.
work on how we do that as opposed to linking to an individual's account. I think would be,
Got it.
make sense, just in case. Not that Dee would ever change the content of the video or something like that, but you could imagine a scenario in which that could be problematic. Obviously, I wouldn't at all expect that here.
Well,
Okay.
Davis, I will tell you, you cannot imagine how much time it takes me just to get the darn thing on the deal so I can get it on YouTube. I don't know. I'm doing it wrong, but I think there's an easy way somewhere.
Maybe, no, I completely
maybe your
understand.
internet provider will.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
your
can get it.
internet provider.
Yeah.
We
will be able
have
to
the
support you.
fastest internet, direct fiber to the office, and it takes hours to upload that stuff to ShareFile. So a lot of times the delay in getting the video up is simply downloading it from Teams and then getting it back up into ShareFile. Just the time associated with it.
Why don't y'all ask off
Inside the
Sync
cloud.
about that?
Tom, hey, Davis.
That's not
Tom?
off sync.
Okay. Tom said he's on hold trying to get into the meeting.
I don't see him.
I
Is
don't
it
either.
possible that he's calling into the executive session? You know what? Why don't I do this? I can call him. Make sure I have this.
Hello?
Hello, Tom? Tom, you there? Hello, Tom? Yes, sir.
sir.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Wonderful.
If you can hear me, I guess we're hooked up. Have we started yet?
Just now.
Started.
Okay. I've been trying to get in for about 5 minutes.
No problem at all. You didn't miss any action.
Good.
All right. We want to go to second item on the agenda. Receive the comments from the public. Do we have anybody that wants to make a comment, ask a question?
I have a question. It's Robert McElroy.
Hey, Mr. McElroy.
Hi. I got a question. Has anybody been assigned to pick up the trash that's on the that's in the receptacles around the Charleston Park? I noticed they're pretty full, and of course, people take time to dump trash in there. That's a big help if we do our part to empty those receptacles. So I just thought I'd mention that as an observation.
I'll be honest with you, Mr. McElroy. I didn't know there were any receptacles on Charleston. So, Richard, can you get somebody on that?
Yeah, I'll take a look at them.
Okay.
I don't even know where they are either. I'll have to look.
Yeah, where are they, Mr. McElroy? Are they down by the restroom down there by Tom Phillips Park? And I don't even know where else they would be.
It's on the west end at Braxton Bragg.
Okay.
If you go to Braxton Bragg on the west side of that on the west, and then turn right to go into to go east, it'll be
Okay.
on your left side. It's a green receptacle there. they used to have water containers in there where you could get water for the golfers. I don't know about other locations. I just see that as people are using it, but it gets full. They may get tired and just dump it on the golf course, or
Okay.
Charleston Park. I'm sorry.
Charles. Okay.
You know.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, there are several. I think that there may be one or two along what used to be Charleston 7 and maybe 6.
Okay.
Coming up from the Stewart's Creek.
That's where we got to have the golfers help us out here. Tell us where they're at, because I have no idea where they're at. So
I'm just a walker. I'm not a golfer, so I don't know about that one.
not a problem.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
we have
yes,
any-
I have I'm sorry.
Nope. Go ahead, Dee. That's fine.
Okay. This question is probably more for Richard. I was wondering who is responsible for adding the documents to the website? Because they really didn't get on until about 10 o'clock this morning. And so
Well,
what's the procedure here?
Well, I send the documents that I generate here to Stephanie, and then she posts them on the website.
Well, when did you send the documents? Because apparently the directors get them on Monday and it didn't come in here till Thursday. Is that when you sent them, or what was the deal?
No, I don't generate all the documents. I only send her what I generate, which is, the manager's report and the bookkeeper's report and stuff like that. That's all I send her. I don't send anything else other than that.
Okay, can't you do a PDF of all the stuff the directors get and then just attach it there to the website?
I do that, but I send that to Stephanie because she puts them in a special file that the attorneys use.
Can you do it 2 ways? It was just awfully late there to get it today.
Yeah.
I will
don't
just
know.
say, and Dee, we struggle with this with a lot of meetings. It's confusing if you put the packet up before you have all of the materials. People think they have the whole packet and they don't have everything. And it's also not desirable to put the packet up, closer to the meeting. And I can check with Stephanie on exactly when she got everything, in the process for this month. We try and do a good job of getting it up as soon as all the materials are available, for public purposes, and get everything to the board members as soon as it's available, so they have a chance to review, as early as possible.
Okay, because I noticed on some other MUDs, they have a little note down there, this is not complete, check back to get the updates. I mean, maybe that's easier to put it on as you get it. I don't know, but just a thought.
Okay, I can talk to her, and we can start, if that's something the board wants us to do, to start just posting the packet as the materials come in. We can handle it that way. We're about to be back in person, so it may be somewhat of a moot point, but be happy to look into the chain of events for this month's meeting.
Okay, then are you saying that when we go back to in person, we're not going to see the director's packets?
The online packet posting, is something that we did with guidance from the Attorney General's office. To my knowledge, no online packets were posted when the board was holding in-person meetings previously. If the board would like to work on having those materials posted online, I think that is something that we can do, but that would be at the discretion of the board at that point.
Okay.
I will say this, Davis. I don't have a problem with anything in the packet being, the more the
Sure.
public knows, the better off we all are. And I don't have a problem with anything in the packet being posted, other than maybe something that has something to do with executive session or something that, but things like
Okay.
that. But yeah, I don't have, that's my opinion. I'm only one person on this board, so. But,
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. So the board would like us to continue to help kind of compile a packet of all the materials provided by
Yeah.
Richard and the engineers and everything.
Yep.
Okay, sure.
Yep. All right. Dee, are you finished?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I am.
No,
Thank you.
it's okay. Okay. Anyone else from the public have a comment, a question, a concern? Nope. Going once, going twice. Okay. Engineers report.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Good deal. All right, starting off with the design projects, the sanitary sewer clean and televise, we did about 1,500 linear feet of televising. We looked at the videos, and as we kind of reported in the last meeting, there were several issues, offsets, line sags, some protruding tap lines that caused blockage of flow and things like that. So there were definitely some issues that needed to be taken care of. They aren't causing failure at this very moment, but they are causing some issues. It's nothing that I would say clean you need to go repair right now due to the financial situation, but it does give us an indication that the lines are in rough condition throughout the district. And again, we're only looking at a 1% survey. We really are just trying to estimate the best of our ability on that. I have nothing new on the east ditch.
Real quick question on that 1%. How was that selected? Was that because there was a problem in the line there, or was it random, or?
It was completely random. We were looking for long straight lines on two separate sides of the district, and that's what we came up with.
Thank you.
Where, can you remind me where they were, Taylor?
One was in Mosswood, and then the other one was along closer to Fairway Estates, but not quite all the way up there, because Fairway Estates is relatively new.
Okay. So on Stonewall Jackson?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Taylor, I thought that video that you...
Go ahead.
Hey, Taylor, I thought that video that they shot was all on Ravensworth.
Well, we were supposed to get two sections.
The only one that I know of that they did was the Ravensworth line.
Maybe they did it and you weren't knowledgeable of it. I'll look at my files and let you know.
Okay.
But they were supposed to do two sections. Moving forward, Richard's handling the storm sewer sinkhole. Not sure the update on that. We got our first round of comments back from the attorney and the FA for the rec bond, so we're updating those and should have a turnaround pretty quickly early next week. Last item is the drainage matters for Holly Springs Drive. We have completed
on the rec bonds.
Yes, sir.
On the rec bonds, Taylor, can you provide a little bit more information about that? Because we're kind of we have some time commitments, some important time commitments related to that.
So
submitted them.
Like I said, well, we're going back and forth with the attorney had to provide a bunch of historical information because the last bond app you guys did was 1995, and the FA went through the financial section, and then we're updating all the exhibits and attachments that are required for a bond application, such as district boundary map, land use plans, things like that.
So I think that there was a commitment to get this done by the end of this month. So do we still have that commitment, and do you have strong confidence that'll be completed by the end of this month?
I mean, we're probably about 75% complete, but we plan to submit it in September.
In September? Okay. Davis, is that going to affect us in our timing with the bond approval?
Are you talking about we getting into agreements and that kind of stuff?
Well, as I understand, we're talking about the bond application being filed for the park, the recreation bonds. And a couple of meetings ago, we talked about that being completed by the end of this month. And, so that hopefully it would be expedited by TCEQ so we can meet timelines. And now that's being pushed to September is what I'm hearing.
From what I've seen, and Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I would think that we're, call it 2 weeks away, something like that. Is that reasonable to think that it'd be out in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's what the timeline I was given. Early September submittal process. We've addressed your comments this week. I need to double check them, and then it'll be back on your desk probably Monday, and then you guys review, and then we finalize and send it out. So that first weekend of September.
I don't think that should materially impact our schedule, Gerard.
Okay, because we were cutting it really close, right?
Just depending on how you kind of look at it, worst case, scenario every step of the way. I think that's right, but we also have some. I don't want to get too far into the, agreements or negotiations or anything, but there's some recognition and protection in place for any delays in the regulatory process. So.
Okay, but there's certainly significant risk, right, to the district.
I don't know that I would say that there's significant
if we don't
risk.
Meet the timeline. If we don't meet the timeline,
Davis,
there's significant risk.
This is Paul Raddick. Sorry, and I don't have video because my computer crashed today, and I'm just getting my new one up and running, so I at least have audio. Gerard, we have an executive session to discuss some of this, and you have good concerns, and I think it would be best to, if you'd allow us to talk about that under the executive session item.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can talk about it in executive, but I mean, I would like my concern noted.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Taylor.
Moving forward, the Holly Springs Drive drainage study is completed. It's under our internal review, and we'll be ready for a presentation at the September meeting.
Okay.
Other than that, that's it.
Okay.
So we need to reserve some time for you at the September meeting.
As far as
the presentation you're talking about?
I mean, it's just a general, I'll give you the report. I'll discuss our findings. That's just.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. So I have a question. I don't know if it's for Taylor or Richard or who it's for, but the RV park in Mosswood apparently has water. Have they tapped into our system, and do we know if they did it legally, or has it does anybody know about that?
No, they didn't do anything. We did that.
Okay.
They're not allowed to touch that
sure.
system.
Okay.
We installed it under our conditions and our terms.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
I just,
and he paid yeah.
Okay. Well, somebody told me he had running water, so I just wanted to make sure that it was done right. So.
Oh yeah. And he's got a nice meter on it too.
Okay. Yeah, and we need to talk about that somewhere, I guess, under pending business, but we'll bring that up under pending business. So, okay. Okay. All right. Taylor, you were finished before I
Yeah, I'm
so
finished.
rudely interrupted you. I'm sorry. So,
You're good.
okay. Number 4, financial and bookkeeping matters. Bookkeeper's report. The only question I had, which I contacted Richard on, was I noticed another bill from Green Utilities, and apparently we had another sewer problem on behind Ravensworth, I guess is what it was. Is that what you said, Richard?
Behind Roanoke.
Behind Roanoke. Sorry, behind Roanoke. So that area is getting hit. I mean, it's like a domino effect up there. So that's another $8,000, $7,800, $8,000 to fix that one. So we've had now 3 within 3 blocks. So I wouldn't even call it 3 blocks, 3 within 2 blocks. So that we've had there. So that area probably needs to be, I don't know. I'm without being an engineer and without seeing the videos, I'm guessing that flood area is probably where we have the most of our problems. It appears anyway. So,
What kind of work was done? What kind of repairs?
2 of those repairs that were done in that area were not the actual line failure. They were the tree roots that were growing into it and cracked the line. That's the one that was down there by 590 that we fixed the first time. This last one had showed up, started out as a blockage, and the more we started to investigate it, the more we found the tree roots and stuff. There was a giant tree next to that line, and we didn't know that line was running by that tree. Matter of fact, I don't even have that line on my print because it only feeds 2 houses. So once we dug it up, it was a disaster. You know, that's the Taylor. I sent you that picture of the one that they had made joints out of concrete block and stuff. It was a mess. So we just tore it out and fixed it the right way, and we haven't had no trouble with it anymore now.
So fixing it the right way, is that replacing the line?
Yes, we replaced that whole section of the line all the way from clear to the other side of the tree, and we cut the tree roots out and everything else to clear it all.
how many feet?
What kind of
How
pipe
many
was it?
feet, Richard?
We replaced probably 45 feet.
Okay.
And put in your new Ys and to put in the clean outs, and then tied into this manhole. We put back in SDR. It was thin wall Schedule 20 pipe, the cheapy stuff. You know, you just touched it and it cracked. So we replaced all that until we found some better pipe and went past the tree and everything. Went back with SDR pipe. So it'll be good for a long time now.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions on the bookkeeper's report?
I've got a comment, but I'll reserve it until we get to item 8.
Okay. Okay. All right. Tax assessor collector's report. We're hitting our bleak period where we're going to have very little taxes coming in. So,
Right.
Look, September last year we had what, $7,700 come in. So
761.
yeah, woo. Don't spend it all in one place, Richard.
That's right.
So yeah, we've got our big money will not come in till December, January. And I should say big money. That's when our big tax collections come in. What big ones there are, but that's when they come in. So we've got to make this budget last, or these funds last to that point, hoping nothing major happens. So, okay, nothing on the tax assessor collector's report. All right, moving on to the review of the investments. Absolutely nothing is paying anything right now, I can tell you. So,
Nope.
No.
so, okay. Payment of the district bills.
I make a motion that we pay the district's bills for the month.
Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second it.
All right. All in favor?
Tim, I.
Tom, I.
Gerard, I.
Julie, I. Okay. All right. Number 5, adopt a resolution finding the district to be low tax rate, developing or developed district in a declared disaster area. Calling public hearing on 2021 tax rate and authorizing tax assessor collector to prepare and publish notice of public hearing. Davis, explain that one to us. So,
Sure. Under Senate Bill 2, which was passed 2 legislative sessions ago, you're required to make an annual determination as to the development status of the district. For the last 2 years, the district has been a developed district, meaning utilities to serve 95% of the developable land within the district have been constructed and financed. So no reason to believe that that has changed in the last year. That means that you are subject to a 3.5% cap on an increase to the hypothetical average homestead in the district. So the 3.5% increase is not a 3.5% increase in the rate itself, but on the rate as applied to the average homestead in the district. So I'll remind everybody that the adoption of your tax rate is a 2-step process. So today we propose a tax rate and call a public hearing. And then we consider the adoption of the rate and hold the public hearing, generally at your next regularly scheduled meeting. I will say in this case, because Montgomery County collects your taxes, they have their own kind of deadline to make their tax bill, which will require you to move your meeting up. You can move it up by a week and make the deadline. I understand, Richard, is it possible that you maybe had some communication and let Montgomery County know that we'd be meeting on the 10th? Is that, I thought Dee Dee let me know that today.
I thought we had discussed the 16th. We're gonna, Julian talked to me about just moving the meeting up to have the normal meeting on September 16th, and that gets both of them, the main meeting and the tax meeting. And I've already talked to Tammy McRae, and she's okay with that. Okay, perfect. That was what I understood, and then Dee Dee said that she thought she had maybe seen some paperwork you submitted that said the 10th, but that is perfect. So we will need to move the board meeting up next month by 1 week in order to make the deadline. So assuming that works for everybody's schedule. But Lauren Morales, your financial advisor, is here to talk about your tax rate.
Okay,
and his materials are at the end of the packet.
Yep.
Nice to see you all this evening. Does everybody have it's a 3-page analysis in front of them? So behind the cover letter on the 2nd page, this is this page includes the historical taxable assessed value in your district and the historical tax rates in your district. You can see last year the taxable assessed value in your district was $163,733,000, and then above that, in the row of 2021, the value that we are using for this calculation, and I'll get into what is behind this number, is $168,594,245. So almost about a 3% increase, which is pretty steady. I will, you can see on the right side of this page, the maintenance and operations tax rate is 31.60, and there's actually another decimal point. I'll get into what went behind that calculation if we turn to the third page. So here you see, again, repeated in the upper right, an operations tax rate of 31.602 cents. We estimate, I had a conversation with Richard about this, we estimate that would bring into the general fund approximately $506,000. I think that's about $5,000 more than what came into the general fund last year. And just to go into the taxable assessed value of $168,594,245. So that's comprised of two components. There's the piece which is already certified. That amount is $160,283,701. And then the amount which is still at this point uncertified, under protest, under review, that amount is $9,233,938. And our methodology, I think it's kind of an industry standard, is to assume that approximately 90% of that value will eventually come on your rolls as taxable assessed value. It varies district by district. I would say on the whole, more than 90% of that value eventually comes on. And so therefore, assuming 90% is a conservative assumption. Obviously, still getting to know your district, and it'll take a year or two until we can maybe refine that number. 90% of the uncertified value is $8,310,544. So that $8,310,000 together with the amount which is already certified, $160,283,000. It's the sum of those two numbers, which brings us to the $168,594,000. Coming back to this third page, Richard provided your current budget, which I think was a balanced budget, calling for about 480, maybe 481,000 to come in from maintenance taxes. So indeed, the district had 506,000 in revenues for the general fund. That would be a small amount of a budget surplus. And lastly, I'll speak here to the bottom of this page. As Davis was mentioning, the average home values last year and this year. The average homestead value last year was $172,105. That has increased this year to $181,662. And so as Davis was explaining, to the right of that, you see the average tax bill, which is last year's average homestead value against last year's tax rate. The average tax bill was $554.69. And then this tax rate of 31.602 cents is right up against that 3% cap that Davis mentioned. So this year's average homestead value against a tax rate of 31.602 cents would result in an average tax bill of $574.09, or $19 or $20 more than last year. The numbers below that are the parity tax rate. The parity tax rate is the tax rate which would result in an identical average tax bill as last year. And then again, that number you see at the bottom, 31,603, is the calculation of the 3.5% cap. Be happy to answer any questions that I can on this report.
Well, I think that's clear as mud, Lauren.
I'll say, don't spend it all in one place, Richard.
I'm trying not to.
think quite simply,
I'm-
the proposed 3.5% increase adds $19 to the average tax bill and raises additional revenue for the district of $5,000 on an annual basis.
Well, we're waiting to see how the increased water rates do for us. So, okay.
That's
Thanks,
true.
Lauren.
So, just so we're clear, is everybody okay with moving the meeting up a week next month? All the boarders available to meet?
I am.
I'm fine with it. We need to probably have it on a Wednesday for Tom's benefit.
If we're gonna move it, then I need to know, because I gotta call Tammy
Yeah.
back to make another change.
So, Tom, is it every Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
For the next couple of months.
Okay.
Maybe 4 months.
Well, do we want, what about during the day? If we did something during the day?
Not a problem with me.
Okay,
I'm
so,
tied up from about 4 o'clock on.
okay. So what if we just did it on the 16th earlier in the day, Tim?
Well, I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem with it right now. I just wanted to respect Tom's,
Yep.
his issues that he's got.
Yep, I agree. So, okay, how about we make it the 16th? Let me see if I've got anything during the day. What's a good time for anybody? I will tell, well, yeah, what's a good time for anybody on that day?
Depends on how long we're gonna keep the meeting on.
That's Yom
Oh.
Kippur,
Oh, sorry. We could do Friday.
No, Thursday's fine. I don't have a problem with Thursday.
Could we do something like 2 o'clock? I mean, is it conceivable that I just have an 11 o'clock because we're moving up a week? And if it was our normal day, noon or something would work perfectly for me. If y'all, now that we're in person, it's a little bit more challenging, but I have a meeting in Rosenberg at 11 that lasts about an hour. So,
Well, Taylor wanted to do his thing. Taylor, are you free on that day at that time?
Yeah, I'm free that day.
Okay. 2 o'clock's good with me because I have an 11:30, but it's across the street. So,
Davis, is there any talk at the state level of them extending the Teams meetings, the virtual meetings, beyond the 1st of September?
not that I'm aware of. And we monitor it continuously.
Okay.
And I'll also say, Gerard, if it's helpful, there was legislation introduced that would have made this possible going forward, and it didn't go anywhere.
So we're gonna do it on the 16th at 2 o'clock.
16th at 2 o'clock. Everybody good with that?
Okay, I got it on the calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I think we just need a motion to approve the document and the proposed rate.
I'll make a motion that we approve the document and the new proposed rate.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Tim, aye.
Aye.
Tom, I.
Julie, aye. All right. Number 6. The
Okay,
operating.
one more.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, Julie. One more thing. Davis, Dee Dee sent me all the paperwork for you guys to sign for all the contracts and stuff. So I need to get them to you tomorrow if I can. I'll need your signature, Julie, Gerard's, and Tom's.
Okay.
And that's
I'll
for
text-
that's not this item, Richard. I think that is item 9, the
I'm
services
sorry.
agreement with Montgomery County.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm mistaken.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Number 6. The operating budget. So, Richard, did you build in the into this budget the increase, hopefully with the new water rates and that? And what did the bills that went out yesterday and today, or whatever day it is, day before, whatever, what are they looking like?
Well, understandably, they're higher. I finished processing them today. I'll take those to the post office on Monday, and they'll go out so that everyone gets them by the 1st. They're definitely higher as I'm looking through them. As more than normal. So,
Okay.
and this budget is reflecting that to a certain point.
Okay.
It's not the water and the sewer revenue is not the total projected, because this is the first year we're doing this, and you always have. They get the bill, they get scared, and then they back off. So I need to get at least a year's worth of history here so I can make a little bit more accurate one. But I think this is going to be pretty close.
Okay. So just because I don't remember what last year's budget, the tap revenue for the sewer, is that, I mean, I see it's only in there 1 month, so I'm assuming that you just do it based on what you think it's going to be for the year? Or is that a tap fee? That's not a connection? Okay.
Yeah, they'll average out for the year.
Okay.
Now, the other difference in this budget here than what I used to do in the past is, and Davis helped me out on this, I want to make sure I'm saying this right, is normally I'd put what I would consider some of the capital expenditures in the line items, like the water repairs, and the sewer repairs, and sewage repairs and storm drainage. I didn't do that on this budget. I left them pretty much flat across the board, and I put larger numbers in the capital expense line, mainly because if for instance we're going to repair the clarifier in the wastewater plant on Unit 1, and it's in the proposed bidding, then that's going to be a line item for a capital improvement. And hopefully we're not going to have to do that before that bond gets approved. If we do, it'll fall in the capital expense line, and we can get reimbursed hopefully once we get the bond approved. So that's why you're seeing the large number at the bottom that says capital expense.
Got it.
That's correct. You will have, as we've talked about, restricted capital funds, and so you will have a separate capital account, the funds from which can only be used for approved bond expenditures.
Richard, what happens to the budget if the bond is not approved?
Well, this budget's going to be, as I presented, as an operating budget. It's not a capital expenditure budget. So if we exceed the capital expenditures from something that's unforeseeable and we don't get it, then it's going to hit that capital expense line.
Okay, it's just operating expense, but I see, like, the last line, there is capital expenses. I guess I'm confused on that.
That would be the line that I put in. That's going to be the line that I put it in if we had a major failure and we actually have to call it a capital expenditure. It would hit that line. And hopefully it'll be part of the CIP from the 15 million, and we can get reimbursed from that by keeping it in that one line, so it's separate from everything else. We don't want to mix it with the operating.
So,
Do you want to call that
so-
emergency repairs or something, Richard, just to avoid confusion?
Yeah, I can do that. I can change that. That doesn't have to say capital expense. I can say emergency repair. I used to have it as equipment reserve line.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, Gerard.
That's okay. I can come back to it. So, this is my first year going through this. Is there a budget for capital expenses then, if it's not included here, if this is just going to be emergency repairs, which seems like it would be a capital expense, right? It's a non-recurring unplanned expense.
That is correct.
There normally is a project budget, or not, I'm not going to say budget, but a project plan of what's going to take place every year. But because we don't have the funds this year, it's either going to have to be small projects or no projects if we don't get the bond.
Okay, so even if it's small amounts, is there a capital projects budget that we're going to work up in addition to, or that's approved in addition to the operating budget?
The only
Or
budget
the
that's approved
operating
is the
budget-
operating budget.
Or is the operating budget basically going to consume all of the M&O tax and the water and sewer revenues?
That's correct, except for that line item that says emergency repairs or capital expenses or whatever. That's correct.
I like
So
changing
would
it
you
to
call that
emergency
out
repairs.
into I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm not sure who that was.
I just said I like changing it to emergency repairs.
But it's still the same purpose, right?
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah. It's the same as capital. It's just a different wording.
So then,
Ultimate. Oh,
in essence, what you're doing actually is mixing the capital budget and the operating budget.
No, it's
Gerard,
emergency
if I can
repairs.
add, if I can add, typically what we see is some accounting in the operating budget for what I'll call smaller repairs, and then a capital account that's used for larger scale repairs. I don't think there's any question that you could consider almost any repair a capital repair, but that's just generally how we see it, accounted for. And I would say that the distinction is primarily between planned and unplanned repairs, right? And that's why I suggested that we maybe call it emergency repairs. But if there is, another line item to be included, and there are some planned capital repairs, and that's certainly something that you can add. But I would encourage you to adopt a balanced budget if possible, knowing that you can use reserves for capital repairs.
Okay, so I kind of like the idea of relabeling that as small repairs, but I do see, several of the accounts do already have repairs like maintenance and repair storm, maintenance and repair GRP. So we've already got.
So those are small things though, Gerard. Those are like a water line that breaks when
I agree with you,
they're
Julie.
small things. Yeah.
I agree with you, Julie, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, because what I think I heard Davis said is to call that small repairs. So 16,850, he says call it small repairs, kind of like a small repair miscellaneous rather than, or in addition to small repair maintenance and supplies, or maintenance to repair GRP, or, you know, all the other repair items. But
Gerard, if I could help explain, the reason I left it as a capital expenditure is because I'm not saying we're going to use that, but I'm saying that I'm looking at what Taylor's put together as a CIP, and I was giving that as an example. One of his CIP for the 15 million is that we're going to do repairs to Unit 1 at the wastewater treatment plant. Well, we're not going to get those funds until summer of next year. So if that clarifier, the weirs break on me before then, I'm not going to have a choice but to spend that money and fix it. So I was planning on putting it in that line right there. So when we do get the funds repaired, I'm hoping we can get reimbursed for that, because that was part of the capital expenditure project. We just did it early and we can get reimbursed for that.
So I think I understand that Richard. And again, I think that there is an assumption being made that that there will be additional bond money, but we don't know that for sure at this point. And right. For budgeting,
that's not including the bond money.
No, not at all.
This is not including any bond money.
Right, but
because if the bond doesn't pass, we have to do an assessment.
Bond money.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm just using that as an example. But you're right. I can all I have to do is rename it to emergency repairs, as David suggested. And that works just as good.
I agree.
Okay, so we don't have any capital budget.
We don't have any money for a capital budget.
Well, couldn't you trim the operating budget some and come up with some money that would go into a capital budget?
Well, I'm assuming we're going to be trimming it as we go and putting it into a reserve. But as we go, until we know what's going to happen, you don't, just because you have a budget doesn't mean you have to spend every penny that's on this budget.
No, I understand that, and understand the concept.
It's a guide.
Too.
It's a guide.
So, right, Davis, let me ask you, on other districts, is it typical to have a capital budget?
I will say that it is typical to have a capital budget when there are known and foreseeable capital repairs to be completed, and there is operating revenue available or made available by the board to complete those repairs, right? So, when boards would go through a tax rate setting process, they would say, okay, we may have the ability to lower our tax rate by 2 or 3 pennies and meet our operating budget, but we are going to maintain the rate at this level to generate X amount of additional revenue so that we can allocate those funds to ABC projects. We see that all the time. And I think the challenge here is I don't know that that revenue source has been identified, but I will say that should it materialize, I think it's important to note that the budget can be amended at any time, and the board has the ability to come back and amend the budget on a monthly basis should you choose to do so.
Okay, so what I heard you say is it is typical to have a capital budget whenever there is a need for capital projects, which clearly we do have according to the CIP, the 10-year CIP. Now the question is, do we have money available, or can we make money available? And I mean, immediately I see 138,000 that can be made available for that.
That's what it's for. That's why he's got a line item for it.
But then why is it in the operating budget?
We Gerard, and maybe I didn't, address that well enough. I mean, typically there is a line item that is included in the operating budget for unforeseen repairs, right? And so before I think I mentioned known and planned repairs. And I know Richard was talking about the clarifier and some other stuff, but in my mind, this is the line item that you would use if you had say an emergency sanitary sewer collapse, right? You have a line collapse and you have to complete that repair right now, have to pay for it from operating funds. This is the line item that those expenses would be applied against, if that makes sense.
Think of it as your savings account.
So you don't have an operating budget that's separate from a capital budget.
Not when you don't have the funds for a capital budget. Well, those aren't planned. We can't put a budget together to repair capital projects that you don't know you're going to need to repair. Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we accept the budget as presented.
Kim, I was hoping to finish the discussion a little bit. It sounded like Davis, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say that in the event that you get through 9 months of the year and you haven't used those funds, then you might jump up and say, okay, let's use this money for X, Y, or Z, project. But I think that is essentially your rainy day fund, as it is now.
I second your motion, Julie.
Okay. All in favor?
Tim, I.
Julie, aye. Come on. Gerard, yay or nay?
I'm going to go with nay.
Okay. Okay. Number 7, review the administrative reports, the manager's report.
Okay, the manager's report is good. There's no major issues on the report. The report's fine. The system totals report is good. There's no main issue there. I do want to report that from an operational side, we have been replacing some meters that have been really getting hard to read. So it's not that they're going out, we just can't read them. They're getting fogged up. That freeze kind of did something to them, but we've changed out about 30-something meters already. But other than that, everything else is going good. I had a request for at the last meeting, I think it was, about putting up a fence around the collection box over there. So I got some bids to do that. We're looking at from $5,000 to $6,000 to put up a fence over there. Do we want to do that?
Where?
At that big collection box that's out there on the
Oh yeah, across from the CIA, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think we almost, where it's caving in back there, Tim? I don't know if you've ever been back there. I think we almost, so. What kind of shape is it in since they fixed that line? Or does it have,
well, the line's fixed. I mean, the posts are solid and the cable's solid, but the complaint was that a kid can still jump over that, well, that's true, but it's been there for how many years? 30-something years, 40-something years?
Well, my concern is when we officially make it a park, we're probably going to have to do something. Because
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I just don't feel.
I would suggest we wait. On that until we get the bond passed, and we can then fix it. So
right.
It's been that way for over 30 years.
Yeah. Can we use some of the park bond money to do that since it's part of the park?
it would be, well, once we come up with a maintenance line item, we can just put it in there.
As of now, we have it allocated to acquisition costs, but there is going to be effectively an operating fund reimbursement, and so you could, ultimately use operating funds, and it would be the same dollars, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave that one alone. I don't really feel comfortable spending public fund money on something we don't officially own yet.
Right.
So the next thing is we lost. I just want to report we lost power to the RBCs a week and a half ago, and the RBCs are the big round rotating disc at the sewer plant. Total power failure, and it was lots of fun to fix, but we did get it fixed. What happened was from all the years, the water had settled into the conduit, and the wire got corroded. So we were able to pull the old wire out and do a point repair on that conduit, and we flushed it all out, cleaned, put all new wire in it, and it's back up and running in the same day. So we got really lucky on that. That would have been a major expense if it had been a real bad problem there, but we managed to fix it for about $160 worth of wire, so that's good. The new rates are in effect, and they are all going to go out in this next bill. So take a look at your rates and see what you think on it. I've had some as high as $386 so far, is the highest one that I saw processed through the other day. So it is going to make a big difference there.
Okay.
Now, the only other question I had was, I know Davis had mentioned about the fact of this meeting. So Davis, correct me if I'm wrong. So long as we're meeting in person, do we have to buy any equipment, or can we just leave it the way it is in the boardroom, or are we going to be required to get video equipment and audio and all that?
You are not required to have audio and video equipment to meet in person. Okay. If the board chooses to meet by video, as provided by existing statute, which to clarify would still require a quorum of the board to be physically present at a meeting location at which the public is permitted to attend. Then you would have to have audio and video equipment on site to allow the board members who are present and members of the public who are present to, see, communicate with, hear, etc. Those, two board members who would be able to participate remotely. So.
Okay.
So
Davis,
Richard,
Davis, what would we need to move forward with getting that equipment on site? Would that be something that can just be done by Richard as part of regular maintenance and operations, or is that something that, it's pretty small expenditure, I think, for a TV and a computer and maybe a Polycom or something. Probably less than a couple $1,000s. Can he go ahead and get that, or does that require board approval, or what?
I would think, just it being an unusual expenditure for the board meetings, I think it would probably be a good idea for the board to give Richard some direction. It's certainly not something that is my area of expertise, but I will just say that and Gerard, I know that this is your area of expertise, but obviously there needs to be a screen where the board members can see clearly anyone who is participating by video, and those members who are remote have to be on video, right? You cannot have a camera off or anything like that. If your camera's off, you are not considered as attending the meeting. But the board members who are present have to be able to see, hear, and communicate well, and as do the members of the public. So I won't dictate what exactly is required there. We had a fair amount of work done in our office, and you know that as crowds get larger, the technology can get a lot more complicated and expensive. But that's all I'll say.
Okay.
Davis, one quick question for you. In the past, when a board member couldn't attend the meeting, he was able to phone in, and I'd put a speakerphone in there. Is that rule still apply, or is that changed?
So a board member can call in to a meeting, but cannot legally participate by phone.
Okay.
Not allowed. That has never been permissible.
Okay, that's what I would need to clarify. Thank you.
There is a provision under which the board can have an emergency meeting. You know, if you had a major failure at a plant or something like that, you could have a meeting on short notice by telephone if you weren't able to, you know, but that's not something that would apply here.
Yeah, Davis. So yeah, this is important to me because yeah, I'm very conscious of COVID, and it seems like we're in another significant wave right now. I think that because of that, I would really like to see us get the AV equipment in. The other thing about that, I guess you're probably one of the larger expenses would be the large screen that you would need. I'm not sure what the minimum requirements are, but I think it's fairly small room anyway. But the large screen could not only help with the dial-in, the video, but I think it could also be very useful for presentations. You know, in this day and age, I think it would behoove us to have a large screen to project different presentations on, even if it's just for in-person meetings. Once we get past this COVID wave we've got right now. So I don't think it'd be a sunk cost, even if we didn't use it in the future. You know, let's just say nobody's calling in, a year from now. I don't think it's a lost cost. I think we could still reuse it quite effectively.
This is Dee. I just like to say we don't have the money. I think let's just do our in-person meetings and go on with it. Why are we spending extra money?
To accommodate the board members, Dee. That's
No,
why.
really, only to accommodate you, Gerard. Everybody else would be there in person.
Well, I'm a board member, Dee.
You are. You should be at the meeting.
I want to attend the meeting. But anyway, so Davis, what do we need to move forward to? Do we need to make a motion? Does Richard just need to go ahead and do it? Do you want to just do kind of a straw poll? What do we need to do to move this on?
I would just say some direction from the board to have Richard, you know, you know, I assume I don't know if that's something that y'all can do in-house, Richard, or if you would need to find a contractor. Yeah. Really the complicating factor is just due to the timeline for the tax rate hearing for next month. My primary concern is that we have to let the tax office know immediately how we are going to meet on September 16th. Yes. And I do have some, you know, some concern that is something that might be difficult to accomplish in, you know, in 3 weeks. But I'll defer to the board on that.
I say we meet in person and try it.
I agree.
And we can meet, you know, outside in the parking lot. You know, we can, however, you know, the board prefers to handle it. It obviously will be in the day, so we won't
be in the heat of the day.
Won't be darkened. Yeah, at least it won't be dark.
So I can say odds are I will not be attending.
And that's fine. It's not that complicated to put that system together. You just need the TV we can use as a monitor, a laptop to tie in, and I can run an Ethernet connection from from our server over to that room, and then we can tie in, and then a speaker system and a microphone system and a camera. All that's just plug and play stuff nowadays.
So, Tom, I'd like to hear some input from you. I mean, we've accommodated you by adjusting the meeting time and probably the meeting days. Would you be willing to support the AV equipment in the office?
I'm sorry, are you talking to me?
Yeah, Tom Vandiver.
Oh, yeah, I could support that. It's not that expensive, but I don't know that it has to be done in 3 weeks. I mean, I would support it, but I don't know if we can do it in 3 weeks.
Okay, but in general, you'd support it. Tim, any thoughts from you?
I'm opposed to it. I don't think we need it, and we don't have the money.
So it sounds like 2-2 to me, Davis. Where do we go? Do we need a formal vote?
You have to have 3 to approve anything. I mean, do you maybe want to work on a budget or something like that and come back, or budget or timeline or something? It's entirely up to the board.
I'll work up an expense for it, you know, all the equipment and what the total cost will be, and then I'll just bring it to the next board meeting.
I'll just say the worst thing you could do is put in a system that doesn't work well, and you have you know, you had, like last time we had, I don't know what it was, at least 30 or 40 residents in the board meeting room, and you know, if they can't see or hear in something like a tax rate hearing, you know, that's obviously problematic. So
Yeah, no, definitely, and I'd have to verify it, but I do believe that you know, I know like headsets are Skype aware, so I'm going to assume the equipment like a Polycom would be Teams aware. Again, another assumption is that we would use Teams like we are now going forward. Do you know if Teams is acceptable? Is that
it is. Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay, I'd have to check, but I would certainly think that they do have Teams compatible Polycom like conference equipment.
Okay. You want to get with Richard and come back with a budget at next meeting?
Well, I won't be in the next meeting, so.
Okay.
But I'll work with Richard to get some prices and equipment and design. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
work.
All right.
And
Richard,
that's all I
else you
have
got?
on my end.
Okay. I
That's
got
all
one.
I got on my end.
Okay, I got one thing for you. Remember the TCEQ when we paid that fine, you were working with
Yes.
the inspector to see about getting some of that money back. Where are we at on that?
Yes. Right now, the commission, I called them today, as a matter of fact, because I saw that on the agenda. I went past me, but I looked at it and talked to Mark. He's the agent that's actually working on it. He's in enforcement. I asked him, why haven't we gotten anything back? He said it takes sometimes months for the TCEQ to react, especially now. But everything was received. The letter and the fine was actually, right now we're nil. He said, don't worry about it. You're not in any problems at all. You just haven't received the letter yet. However, he did tell me that all the evidence that I sent to him, they are going to lower the fine. So we'll actually end up getting a refund of some of that back. But it has to go through the commission and get it approved first. Then it'll have to go back to get authorization on the refunds. But as far as our obligation to the TCQ right now, all of our requirements have been met with that letter and the check that we paid them.
Okay.
So we just have to wait to get the acceptance letter from the commission when they go through the process.
Okay. Okay.
But we're good.
All right. All right. We good with administrative reports. Okay, number 8, the district website.
I had a comment about that.
Okay.
I noticed the as there's a trend coming to us from off Cinco where the expenses are getting exorbitant on a monthly basis. And I really think we need to make this change ASAP to get the new website operator.
Yeah, and Tom, I apologize. Were we going to do that? We were going to do that this month, weren't we? Let's put it on the agenda for the September 16th meeting.
To do what?
For the new website, or do we want to vote on? You want to make a motion to vote on it now, Tim? The new website host, I guess.
Before we vote, can I, or decide whether or not we want to vote, can I just throw out some questions? And the reason I want to throw them out is if we don't have the answers today, maybe that, causes us to go ahead and vote on the 16th.
How many possible questions could you have?
I would say, but all the people
4 or 5,
around
Tom.
a couple of months. But last month we had, or month before, we had all the.
We had 2 vendors, right?
Actually, I thought there were.
No, we had 4.
Was 3?
There's
Okay.
4 vendors.
4 vendors on. Okay. So one of my questions was, so I don't see any updated proposals, but during the call, weren't the vendors changing their proposals?
Only off Cinco.
Only one.
Okay. So off Cinco changed.
Yep.
She changed her number because the others were coming in below her.
Yep.
She charged us $760 or $90 this month. Look at your report.
So what did off Cinco? Do we have a comparison of their updated proposal?
He didn't have to update. He hadn't changed it. It's still the same as it was last month. $300 to set up the website. He'll do all the other stuff, $245, but he'll add the e-blast and.
No, he's talking about the off Cinco proposal. The off Cinco proposal, nothing changed on it except she did change
it down
yeah,
to $370 a month. But if you look at her last 6 months billings, we've only had 1 month at $370, and they've been as high as $890 something.
Okay. One thing that okay, so there's some changes. I'm still not sure what they are. You guys sound kind of comfortable with that. One other thing that I heard, and this is a question for Davis. This off Cinco, they said that they had over 800 municipal utility districts, or at least utility districts, that they provide services for, email and web content services. And one of them, I guess the other leading contender, at least what I was hearing, was prepared presentations, and they said that they had 1. But I also heard off Cinco said that they basically do the websites and email for basically all of the utility districts in the state, except maybe that one.
No, that's incorrect. They do it for their 1,000 customers, or whatever the number is.
So, Davis, do you know of any are they really the leader in the state with all the other districts?
No, they're not. I can answer that for you.
So who is,
I'll
Tom?
let Davis answer.
What did you say, Tom?
I don't believe they are the leader in the state. I don't think there is one, but I'll let Davis answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm qualified to say who the leader is. We see a couple of different service providers, and they are one that we see, pretty frequently. So,
but there are others.
Well, what we also have to understand is the front runner that we're looking at, not off Cinco, but one of the competitors, may only do one mud district right now, but they do, he said he did hundreds of homeowners associations. So it's not foreign to him to do a similar website.
And I think he has more than one. I think that's a misrepresentation. But I don't know how many he has.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I understand that, Tim, and I certainly acknowledge that they do hundreds of homeowners associations, but I think it is different, and so that's what I was.
Gerard, let me ask you this: would you rather spend $700 and $800 a month for a service that gives you less, or spend $245 a month for a service that gives you more?
Well, as long as they're both compliant, meet the regulations, and we have comfort with that, well, I'd rather spend less, Tom. Sure, but I want to make sure that whatever we get is going to provide the services we need.
Well, I've given you all the information. I'd like to make a motion that we hire Prepared Publications and have Davis go over a contract. And we make that as soon as we can, and we gave a 30-day notice to our current supplier.
Tom, I've got another question for you. So
I tried to make a motion.
I'll second the motion. All in favor? You can ask.
I'll answer his questions. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I don't either. But does it have anything to do with the motion? And I don't want to go into another 3.5 hours.
So what exactly is the motion? I can answer the question once I know.
The motion is that we hire the new vendor.
Who is the new vendor?
Prepared Publications.
Then I have a question.
What?
Okay, so Prepared Publication, I believe that they use Outlook as their email provider in the back end. Is that correct?
That is correct, but he said you can use Google if you want. Right,
but so my question then is, right now we have Google Gmail in the back end, and if we move forward with prepared presentations with Outlook, I believe there would need to be a migration of the email. Looking at the proposal, I see where they talk about migration of web content would be included in the setup fees. But would migration of the email also be included? That's not a trivial task.
Anything that is offered now, they will migrate anything they can get their hands on.
Actually, I think that was addressed because Davis said that they had to maintain, or someone that they had to maintain emails. So I believe that was, yeah.
But
right,
what I'm talking about is all the email that we have today.
Retention.
I believe that was addressed at the other meeting.
So I didn't hear it addressed. Davis, maybe I overtalked your response. I'm not sure. Is your understanding that they will migrate the email?
I'm not entirely clear on that, but I would guess that would be something that we could work through with both service providers. My recommendation would be not to terminate the off-Cinco site until you can get the other one up and running.
Right.
And as soon as you're comfortable that one is up and running, then give off-Cinco notice of termination.
Right, yeah. And that would give an extra 30 days from whenever we decide we're ready.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that there could be thousands of dollars in charges to migrate that email, our existing email.
We haven't had our existing emails.
Of dollars into video equipment too.
And none of us have had our email. Gerard, just to let you know, none of us have had RPMUD email addresses. What, a year and a half, Tim? Maybe a year? I can go back and look at the first email I have. Probably a year.
It hasn't been long.
any rate. So you got any other questions? If not, we can go ahead and do the vote.
No, that was my only question as to whether or not they would take care of the migration if there'd be any charges for it.
No, there's no charge. It's $300 to set up the website. He will let us look at the temporary site before it goes out. We can come in and make recommendations, ask for changes. And that's all included in that $300. And then our monthly bill will be $245 a month, or maybe $260 a month, depending on the number of emails that we choose to have.
Okay, Tom, if you're sure that includes the migration of the email, then I'm okay with it.
I am sure of that.
All right, you want to make your
hiccup
motion
could be
again, Tom?
Well, if I have to.
Yeah, let's
But
go ahead.
My motion would be to. I'm in a car, so I'm having a hard time looking at stuff.
Sorry.
My motion would be to hire Prepared Publications to prepare us a website, get it ready, and once that's ready, then we'll terminate off Cinco. And he'll moderate all the stuff from our current website, emails, etc.
Okay.
So website and email.
Yeah, he's going to give us e-blast, e-text. It's in the last month's proposal.
Tim seconds.
Tim seconds. Okay. All in favor?
Tim, aye.
Tom, aye.
Julie, aye.
Bird eye.
Okay. All right. Motion passes.
Okay. Do you want Richard to contact him? You want me to have him contact Richard? What?
Have Richard give Richard his contact information and let them work together on it.
Okay. We'll all have to probably get our input in before it goes live.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All
All right. Election services agreement with Montgomery County for November 2nd, 2021 bond election.
Okay, this is the agreement for the election administration. Just the contract with Montgomery County, same as last time. Means that anyone that votes in that votes at a county polling location will have the district's proposition on its ballot, as opposed to the district having to hold its own election. So,
okay. Do we need to make a motion or anything to accept that agreement?
yes, and it would be a big help if we could get it signed relatively quickly and back to the county. They're anxious to get it back. So,
okay.
Who signs it?
Actually,
Julie,
Present.
Tim, and Tom.
okay. You know where I'm at, right, Richard?
Yep. Yes, I know where you're at.
Okay.
I think it's Gerard. It's secretary. I saw secretary on
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay. Then
I have them in the office, so I can get around tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the election services agreement with Montgomery County for the November 2nd bond election?
I make such a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Tim seconds.
Okay. All in favor?
Tom, aye.
Tim, aye.
Bird eye.
Julie, aye. Okay. Can I make I'm going to make a schedule change. Can we do pending business before the executive session, just in case it goes long, so that we get that out of the way? Does anybody have any objections?
Nope,
Because I
nope.
actually have something for pending business. So, is that a yes or no? Do I have any objections?
No objection.
Okay. All right. The only thing I want to note is, and Richard kind of brought it up a little bit ago, but we need to go back and look at those water rates, because I think the commercial rates are the same as the residential rates. And
I think you're correct.
I think we need to revisit the commercial rates. So, we need to look at that. So between now and the next meeting, Tim, you want to get with Richard and work on the commercial rates?
Okay.
Because I mean, even though we only have 2 or 3 commercial accounts, I think there's going to be a big use of water. Hopefully not, but a big use of water by one commercial entity, and I think we need to adjust it because as a resident, I'm assuming the residents are going to be extremely upset when commercial ventures are paying the same as they are for their water in their residence. So
I
I think
agree.
we need to address that issue because
Okay.
theirs were not adjusted at all, were they? Commercial rates?
They've
think they
always been
stayed
the
the
same
same.
as residential.
They've
Yeah, they've
always
always
been
been
the
the same.
same as resident? I thought they were always
Yes.
more.
No, they've always been identical. The same as the city of Conroe. The city of Conroe doesn't give any commercial breaks until they go over 100,000. Then they have a different rate for commercial.
Well, I wasn't thinking a break. I was thinking an increased rate. I wasn't thinking
Yeah,
a
I mean,
lower rate. I think we need to revisit that because if you've got how many pads are going in at that one? If you've got 40, is it 40?
Yeah.
Mr.
he's
Mathorn,
only
how
got-
many pads is it?
he's only got 8.
I thought it was 40.
No, they're pretty wide.
I
He's
think
only got, I think, 8.
I think they've laid out pad sites for a whole bunch, but they haven't built them. And if
Yeah.
he's smart, he'll see if he gets any business on these 8 before he goes any further.
Well, I just, when you add 40 to our sewage system, when you add 40 to our water, even though he's paying for the water, I don't know. I just think we need to revisit those commercial rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's not the only commercial account. So it's not just, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying that's going to be an increase on our system. And I think we need to look at the commercial rates. So that's my opinion. So, anyway, so, okay. Anybody else have any pending business?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
I think I went.
The
Go ahead.
funding committee for RPMUD had a meeting with a consultant yesterday who is a grant writer and an expert at chasing down funds for low interest loans / forgivable grants, what have you, all through the Texas Water Development Board, the United States Department of Agriculture, numerous sources that this gentleman knows about that we've never even heard of. So we had a meeting with him, and he is going to work with us down the road to try and capture some funds that we'll be able to generate. As an example, he got $7 million for ARP, Texas, a town that has less than 500 connections. They're a low-income town, that's true, but they had the same work done, or they're going to get the same work done that we need to get done in our little cove here. So we're going to start working with this gentleman.
You might also mention that ARC got 5 million of that 7 million forgiven. They set it up as a loan, but they got 5 million forgiven because they are a low income area.
You're correct, Tom. I neglected to say that. You're absolutely right.
Okay. Good job. Good job, you guys.
That sounds great.
But he does He does. He has a fee, but the fee is at the back end once he gets you the money, and he'll charge you up to 5% or whatever it is. So on the art deal, he made like $350,000 if that's what he charged them. I don't know if that's. Sometimes he said he charges less.
Okay.
Can I just say, if there's I assume he has some sort of formal written engagement, and maybe if y'all just send it over to review and we can get it on the next agenda, if that's
Yeah.
something
Yes.
you ready to proceed with.
Kim,
So
I'll work on that.
Kim's got
That'd
2
be
or 3
great.
big old books in a thumb drive.
perfect.
Yeah, you know, if you remember, Julie, Tom and I started to try and fill out this application many months ago.
Right.
It turns out that it's a 3-inch binder full of paperwork. It's 343 pages of documents.
Wow.
There's no way we would have ever gotten through that thing.
Okay. Well, if it works, it's money well spent. So,
Yes, I agree.
The part I like is you don't get anything, you don't pay anything.
there you go.
Basically, there are some. I think he had something. Didn't he say there's certain things you might want to charge for first? But
Well,
it wasn't
there's some
it wasn't that
incidental
much,
stuff,
but-
but the biggest part is if he doesn't get us any money, we don't pay him anything. So,
Okay.
but Davis, I'll work on getting that contract.
Sure, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Just FYI for everybody, I did ask the question. I told him that we had a bond proposal that we're going forward with the November election. Would that have any impact? And he said, no, that's fine. You get your bond. If we get this money, you just don't have to sell your bond. You just let it expire if you need to.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Good. Okay. Good. Gerard, you had something?
Yeah. So I had a pending question for some time with Lauren. I had heard in the meetings that from some of the public that there may be some expectation that bond rates may come in at like 2% or 2-something%. So I'd asked Lauren quite a while back if he could provide some examples of other districts that were not rated to see what rates they're actually getting. And I don't know if Lauren can just splash his screen real quick and display what he showed. And I don't know if he wants to make some comments and put that into context. I mean, I can display it as well. Kind of surprising to Lauren, perhaps. He may not be quite ready, but we've been talking about this over the last couple of days.
Yeah, thank you, Gerard. Appreciate you bringing this up. And I don't think that I can share my screen. I don't know if you can, or Davis, if you have that. We had a conversation, looked at a bunch of non-rated MUDs in Texas. Been lower in 2021 than they were in 2020 and 2019. A lot of non-rated MUDs in 2021 have been really below 3%, kind of in the maybe 275, 250 to 3% range. And I, as I said to Gerard, if I had to, if River Plantation MUD was selling bonds today or tomorrow, which you're not, but if you were selling bonds today or tomorrow, I think that, I would estimate that you would be around 3%. Now, you guys have heard me say this before, this is always a balancing act to kind of measure the amount of time between today and when you sell bonds, and to try to factor into that, what the interest rate risk is. Basically, how much can interest rates go up between today and when you actually sell bonds? And, I was thinking about this today, Gerard, because of our conversation. I think we had a meeting back in in April, and I was assuming 1%. I mean, a certain percentage, and I don't know what your pricing date is. I don't know what the date that you will be selling bonds is, but I do think that amount of time is becoming smaller, and so far interest have been very favorable for borrowers. They have not really spiked up yet. We'll see what the fall brings, but here through the summer, interest rates have remained low. And so, with that in mind, I have been kind of ratcheting down my own estimates. But again, let me put in as many disclaimers as I can. A lot of time between, today and whenever you price the bonds. A lot of things can happen, positive and negative. And, I just want to make sure that I'm managing your expectations and not over delivering or over promising, excuse me.
Understood.
In that, what did catch my attention is that there were some that were as high as 6.01%. There were certainly some that were in the 4+% range and 5+% range. So could very well come back a lot higher than 2-point-something%. Thank you for putting that together, Lauren. I just wanted to make others aware.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Should we recess to executive session? And then we'll come back in when we're done?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. Man, everybody beat me.
It's a race.
Yeah. Okay, do we
I actually
have?
hit.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
John.
go ahead.
Oh. No, go ahead, Davis. That's fine.
Oh, I was just going to say I hit admit all, so everybody
Oh.
actually came in at exactly the same time.
Okay. Excuse me for a minute.
Not allowed to
Do
have
I,
these.
yeah. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn for the evening?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You there, Gerard?
Yeah, I said aye. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Aye.
Julie, aye. All right. See you guys on the 16th at 2 p.m. And I just texted Mark to tell him the date change and that. So
Perfect.
date and time
Okay.
change. So,
Okay.
all right.
Thank
Thanks
you,
very
everybody.
much. Everyone have a great
Have a
night.
great night.
Bye.
Bye.